Trevor Boucher wants to make it as easy as possible to fill out a tax return. However, he warned people not to cheat on their claims.
So my strong advice to taxpayers as they go about completing their returns this year is think hard about what you include in your return.
Taxpayers should check that items are deductible, and they should be able to produce receipts for goods they have actually bought. The public should have received tax packs in their letterboxes.
This year it's much improved. For people who have relatively simple affairs, they only need to look probably at the first 15 questions. They don't have to go through it all. It's shorter, less trees are chopped down to provide tax pack, and all in all, I think it's a pretty good publication.
On a different matter, the Commissioner would not be drawn on whether a consumption tax would be easy to implement.
The question of a consumption tax is very much a matter of political debate. So my job is to administer the law, and really I'd prefer not to get involved in that at all.
Members of the Cranes branch of the Waterside Workers Federation met today to consider a return to work. Until the walkout on Monday, they had 5 strike-free years of industrial restructuring leading up to the privatisation of some sections of the port. In return for this, the crane operators expected job security. Such an agreement was struck with the MSB before the sale of the Port Waratah coal loader. The loader's management now claims it must shed 33 cargo crane operator jobs.
We've got, I suppose, the bumblings of the MSB initially to blame for all of these problems.
The MSB has wiped its hands of the issue, saying it's a matter for the industry and the union.
The situation was well forecast 12 months ago when the MSB privatised coal loading operations in conjunction with Port Waratah Coal Services.
It's our view that we've delivered on all the reform requirements to date in respect of the coal industry, and it's just not good enough for the employer to now say that we're going to throw 33 people out on the scrap heap.
The loader's management has now withdrawn the men's termination notices and agreed to further discussions on retraining and redundancy packages. However, an uneasy truce hangs over the resumption of coal and cargo loading, with 6 vessels waiting to enter port. Andrew Lobb reporting for NBN News.
By June next year, this will be the Hunter Water Board's new secondary treatment plant. It'll produce sludge, which the board hopes to pump under this area of Merewether into the abandoned workings of Newcastle Colliery. According to the board, the proposal is a cheap, environmentally sound, short-term disposal option. But some local residents see it as disastrous.
We're very concerned about the nature of the sludge that is going to go underneath the homes of residents in Merewether. And in any case, with the volume of sludge going through here, the mine workings could easily be collapsing.
Last night, Newcastle City Council echoed residents' concerns.
They don't know what linkages there is between mines, they don't know where the faults are, they don't know where the substance cracks are which will allow smells and gases to come out. They're going to dump rubbish in a coal mine where they know nothing about the structure.
But the board remains confident about its research.
There are a lot of what-ifs raised, but the technical experts that have looked at it for us have indicated that on a trial basis it is worth pursuing.
So can you give a guarantee that it's a safe proposal?
I love to give guarantees in life. That I would like to go give that cast iron guarantee, but I can't.
The board will make a decision about the issue on July the 17th. But if it goes ahead, Lord Mayor John McNaughton warns he'll take the issue straight to the Premier.
In view of the fact that we have no legal right to prevent the project going ahead, we have to do other things, and it'll be done straight through the political process.
It's been a grand week for rubbishing. Debate over the city's waste disposal problems has hotted up and plenty of muck's been flung. In Merewether, residents concerned over Hunter Water Board plans to dump sewage sludge in mine workings under their homes have accused the board of taking a cheap and nasty option. Newcastle City Council has backed residents, saying the board's plan is absurd. But some of Council's own waste disposal plans are under fire. Maryland residents, bitterly opposed to the construction of a council tip near their homes at Summer Hill, say Council has double standards when it comes to waste disposal.
So I think it's absolute hypocrisy that the Newcastle City Council should come out in opposition to the Water Board's proposed sewage sludge dump under the Merewether area, when most of the environmental concerns that they have the Merewether people have raised with Council are exactly the issues that we have been raising about the Council's own garbage dump here at Summer Hill.
Like Merewether residents, those in Maryland fear waste disposal here could bring nasty odour, harmful runoff and leaching, and a decline in land values. But with Council already developing the site, you have to wonder whether it's too late. Residents say it's not.
We have advised the Council that if they refuse to do an environmental impact statement on this, we will take them to the Land and Environment Court. We await their reply.
Good afternoon, South Stain. No, I'm sorry. No, not at the moment. We're not open to the public at the moment.
Brian McDermott says he takes about 20 calls like this every day. People love the idea of a night out on the South Stain, but a legal wrangle over licensing makes that all but impossible.
It's a terrible situation where so many people ring up and we have to just say, look, I'm terribly sorry that the ship can't be open to the public at all until the licence is granted.
The South Stain's owners are willing to pay $25,000 for a unique licence that would allow them to sell alcohol while moored and while cruising. The New South Wales Liquor Administration Board granted the licence, but a group of local hoteliers have launched a Supreme Court challenge. They believe a hotel licence fee of $150,000 would be more appropriate. While the challenge drags on, the ship remains available for function bookings only and the entire venture in danger of sinking.
I feel it's a tourist-orientated project. It's probably the only heritage vessel that's still operational in New South Wales, and it's still the largest steam ferry left in the world.
These visitors from the south coast agree.
Get it away from here, let's get it down there.
Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
A passing police patrol noticed smoke billowing from the disused warehouse just before midnight. By the time 4 fire units arrived, the 2-storey building was well alight. Fire officers were initially worried that the blaze could have spread and ignited an LPG tank in the neighbouring Steggles factory, but the fire was contained before it could damage other buildings. The warehouse, which was being demolished because of earthquake damage, was gutted by the blaze. The cause of the fire is unknown at this stage, but investigations are continuing, with officers treating it as suspicious. When Kate Midgley was born on July 1st, 1886, Australia hadn't even celebrated its centennial, let alone its bicentennial. But like Australia, Mrs. Midgley has come a long way in those 105 years. She's now at the top of a family tree that stretches over 3 children, 8 grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren and 13 great-great-grandchildren. Some of the brood joined the staff of St. Joseph's Home at Sandgate today to hold a 105th birthday party. The home's oldest resident says she has no doubt why she's lived so long.
I don't drink, I don't smoke.
And in a lifetime that's seen a history book's worth of great events and people, what does Kate rate as the most memorable?
The Great War.
Family and friends gave Mrs. Midgley a cake, minus the candles, and a rousing rendition of Happy Birthday. But Kate had something to give herself on her 105th birthday, a little love.
I wish you all the happiness in the world, all of you.
Today is the culmination of years of training and weeks of work for these girls, and Eisteddfod gives them a rare performing opportunity, a task they appear to relish.
Well, I think it's good experience for the kids and everything.
I'd like just getting up there and competing against each other to see how you're going in the area and all that.
But it's a big day for mums too.
What do you get out of it?
Oh, lots of fun, lots of fun.
Love it, absolutely love it. I think the excitement that you see in the children is worth all the effort.
Side stage, the under-8 open section is underway. The competition is fierce. Many of the nation's successful ballerinas had their start here.
We've had a few go to the Australian Ballet Company, and there's about 3 or 4 dancing overseas with the London and Russia and in Austria.
Back in the dressing room, it's almost showtime.
At about 6 p.m. last Thursday, a man in his late teens or early 20s went into the mobile service station on the Warners Bay Road, where he held a knife to a 17-year-old attendant's neck and ordered another attendant to hand over the contents of the till. Police say the description was very similar to that of a man who robbed the mobile service station at Crowdus Road, Lambton, 2 days earlier. Security cameras recorded the robbery. Once again, a knife was used to intimidate an unarmed woman. The man wasn't seen leaving the Lambton service station, but police say he may have been spotted when he left the Warners Bay service station. They want to hear from anyone who saw a vehicle or person acting suspiciously on James Street after 6 p.m. on Thursday night. The man police are looking for is about 18 to 20 years of age, about 178 centimetres tall, of slim build. He was wearing a grey sloppy joe, blue stubbies and a maroon beanie. On the previous robbery at Lambton, the man was wearing blue jeans, a dark sloppy joe and a red beanie. If you believe you can help police, call the Crime Stoppers number now on 008 251 009. There's a $1,000 reward for information leading to an arrest.
It might be school holidays, but there's no vacation atmosphere at the Hunter Academy of Sport's elite basketball camp at Waratah High. For 25 talented juniors, it will be a week of hard work, the kind needed to make the transition to the national ranks.
What we've been doing in the camp is not a lot different to probably what the kids have seen before, but I'm just trying to increase their intensity level higher, and that's the difference, a step up in the intensity basically.
The presence of Australian Institute of Sport assistant coach Brett Flanagan has ensured the sessions have been razor sharp. He works full-time with the best juniors in the nation and says some of the Hunter squad wouldn't be out of place at the AIS.
There's some really good kids here, I've been really impressed with how quickly they've picked up everything we've been going through. So, yes, we're always on the lookout.
In just 2 days, Adam Leslie will be repacking his board bags and heading to Bali. He's just returned from the freezing waters of South Australia, where he combined with Maroubra's Jai Aberton to win the national all-star title. The trip to Bali promises to be far more pleasant, but may still be dogged by the dreaded beach break dribble Adam was forced to practice in today. Organisers of the World School Surfing Championships have decided to bypass the island's famous reefs in favour of its more fickle sandbars.
The contest is still going to be held on beach breaks, so it's still going to involve a bit of grovelling now and then, but hopefully we'll get some sizable waves over there and get some good ones. Yeah.
A good result in Bali would see a professional career beckoning, but the 17-year-old is trying to keep both feet on the ground. He's watched boyhood heroes like Avoca teammate Mark Sainsbury abandon impeccable amateur careers only to be left treading water on the Pro Tour.
I think you've just sort of got to be careful what you say about the tour and how you act. You've just sort of got to take the flack that you get and go with it. I'm going to do a fair bit of the tour and just sort of see what happens and hopefully not have to turn pro until the last minute.
Only time will tell whether he has what it takes to make an impact. Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
Think of a disease, disaster, epidemic or community health problem anywhere in the developing countries of Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Indonesia, Africa and Ethiopia, and chances are there could be a Newcastle-trained doctor searching for a solution. The Centre for Clinical Epidemiology and Biostatistics in Newcastle is considered a top training base for doctors from all over the world.
We choose people who we think have the best career prospects and are the brightest minds and most likely to be able to do really high-quality research into the major health problems of their communities.
Newcastle seems a long way from the famine and endemic diseases of a developing world, but these delegates from a dozen countries hope to copy the training scheme started here in 1983 for use in their own hospitals and medical centres.
The plan is for the people who we've trained is to become the trainers themselves. So we're transferring, as it were, our training technology to the developing world so that they can do their own training of their colleagues and people in neighbouring countries.
The centre is behind the plan and would follow through with training and establishment of clinics overseas. The federal government will be approached for its endorsement and possible financial assistance for the plan. Andrew Lobb reporting for NBN News.
It's understood the hovercraft was in the final stages of construction when it was taken from this workshop in Rathmines on Monday. The operation was watched by neighbouring company employees.
There was probably 7 or 8 police officers in there, Newcastle locksmiths. They opened up the building. Next thing, a float turned up, a crane, an escort vehicle. They all wheeled in next door, wheeled the hovercraft out.
The workshop was leased by Delta Hover manager Barry Wilson. He was in Sydney today and couldn't be contacted. Previously, his company operated from another address on Sarah Street at Toronto. At various times, there have been many expressions of interest in the hovercraft, including an Indonesian delegation, but in the past few months, the operation has been fairly low-key. Many staff had been laid off a matter of weeks ago. It's believed the hovercraft in Rathmines was similar to an earlier prototype, but with a blue trim. When it was taken on Monday, it didn't have a rubber skirt attached. Police have been told to keep a lookout for the missing hovercraft, but detectives say at this stage it appears the disappearance is a dispute over ownership, which will have to be settled in the civil courts.
Premier Greiner invited a delegation of 9 from Newcastle to attend the 2-day smog summit, but only 8 attended. Peter Brett chose not to go because he thought Newcastle's representation in the summit was little more than token.
I don't believe that there was anything in there for Newcastle. We were only allowed 10 minutes in which to ask any questions, and I think Newcastle warrants a little bit more than 10 minutes on a pollution subject.
Mr Brett argues that Newcastle was specifically mentioned in only one seminar title today, and the time allotted for discussion of the hunters' problems was minuscule.
They're allowed 10 minutes on the agenda, in which it's an open forum, after the manager of ICI has finished speaking, for Newcastle's problem. I don't feel that they'll get much chance to talk at all.
A spokesman for the Premier said that while Newcastle may have been mentioned in only one title, it was unfair to go by names alone. Many of the subjects, he said, had a general application to pollution issues, including those affecting the hunter. But Mr Brett believes instead of participating in general talks in Sydney, hunter delegates should get together for a regional summit.
Well, I'd like to see a pollution summit up here and the industrial pollution addressed.
The Lord Mayor, John McNaughton, supports Newcastle's involvement in the summit, calling it a means to finding solutions.
Two actors and a sparsely furnished set are all playwright Barry Creighton uses to take audiences on what actor Rowena Wallace called a wonderful journey.
Alex is a woman in her 40s, a mature woman, who was married to George and then divorced because the relationship just didn't work. Then they meet again, and so the relationship starts up.
George is a scientist. He has, I suppose, problems in relationships.
Do you know something? In all the years that we were married, you never once said that you loved me.
I did.
No, not once.
You sure?
Positive.
I must have said it once or twice.
What?
Well, you know.
What?
When we were married.
No, never.
Well, you know I did.
Did what?
You know.
What?
What you said.
Love me?
But the problems that forced the marriage to flounder seem destined to push them apart again.
The two characters are so self-obsessed that they really cannot see what is going wrong in the relationship. They're so focused on their own needs that they don't see the other person, which is really true of most relationships, if you think about it.
Anybody who has had a relationship, and all of us have had relationships of some sort, they will find something which they'll be able to relate to in this play, for sure.
Right.